Shalom and good day all. This is Healing29 for manga I have recently read through. Now, this is some manga that I've read between July and August 2024. And first of all, let's go through the list of things that I've actually been reading through. There'll probably be another one come up also covering this time period. I don't know when the video will go up or will be done, but you'll see it when it does go up. So starting off with Oshinoko, we have the character known as Aqua. We also move into Kira Arima for Volume 4, and we have the other additional characters that make up this series for volumes 4, 5, and 6. Moving into another series. Now, this series is actually meant to have a bit of a connection to the Sailor Moon universe. But this centers around a character by... what's his name? And he's looking for his princess. Sorry for that, but I've been quite busy as well in the past couple of weeks, and it does take its toll on you. Syrakan, I think his name is. And yes, this story actually deals with a character that has to go through, I guess, multiverses in a way to try to find his princess. And yes, it involves like visiting other places throughout that, I guess, type of multiverse. And what it does, which I have sort of found with the series, it makes sure to tie everything together. Like, so if he happens to learn something from one universe, we're sort of like reminded as to who that person was that played an important thing to which he actually learned. And I wouldn't mind collecting more of these volumes. So as you can see, I've got Omnibus 1 to 3 there. Moving into Jujutsu Kaisen, volume 20 to 22. No doubt within this week, to which I'm doing the video, but not quite when the video will be released. So once the video is scheduled, whatever else, I'll probably have actually the next volume connected to Jujutsu Kaisen. Next we have Orient, volumes 16 to 19, to which we still follow the character of Musashi and his good friend. And also some of the things revolving sort of like the band of characters, to which they learn that they're going up, they'll be possibly going up against another army. Moving into Superman Meshi, I must admit, Superman Meshi is really interesting, and I think DC is actually going the right way with doing manga this way, and not the way that they're trying to do it. Yes, they might be bringing in Japanese writers, storytellers, whatever, but I do actually quite like how they've done the story. Now, each story is slightly different, and with this story, it almost reminds me of Superman versus the characters of Food Wars. Now, I've never watched or read anything in relation to Food Wars, but this is how it feels like it comes across to me. In other words, he's going up against sort of like Food Wars related chefs in a manga universe, and he's got to sort of like find a way to between work as Superman, as well as Clark Kent, and home, and as well as also working with members of the Justice League, and how that comes into the story. Next, we have the Batman Operation Joker. Now, this almost feels like, what if Batman played a joke on the Joker and this is the joke? And I must admit, they do have some scenes which they do sort of like grab from the Joker movie, to which Joker Phoenix was a part of, and you get to see like some scenes in relation to that. But you also see that he's trying to, well, babysit the real Batman Bruce Wayne. And of course, there's one stage where you do actually see the character of Pennyworth, and it's really somewhat quite interesting. And it's sort of like, okay, if Batman were to pull a joke on the Joker, this would be the greatest way to pull it on him. Next is Batman Justice Buster. Oh my goodness. I must admit, the first 2 volumes of this were really quite good. And in it, we also see like an older Jason Todd, which I didn't quite expect. And it sort of feels like it's grabbed a bit from the Batman White Knight series, to which Sean Gordon Murphy did. I think it would have been better if, instead of having like an older Jason Todd, maybe have Jason Todd's father doing some work for Batman, and then introduce a young Jason Todd later on in the series. But in this, we also have an event to which Batman has a Robin, but the Robin is not who you expect it would be, or what you would expect it to be. In this case, this Robin is actually an artificial intelligence system that's helping Batman out. And by the time you get to volume 3, there's something in relation to that particular robot that's abandoned, and I felt like that was not a good idea in the story, because by the time you move into volume 3, it really does sort of like change the storyline. And last but not least, I have actually checked out this animated movie. I highly recommend you check it out. It's basically a story about expression. Now, there are 2 more volumes to this, and no doubt they'll probably be covered in the next lot of manga I've recently read through in relation to the smaller size manga. So jumping to the next thing, and that is the area of the rating. But until then, I just need to pause and then come back, just so I can catch my breath. 1. Okay, finally back after catching my breath. Now it's time to move into the area of the rating, and a lot of my rating does involve covering both the story and art mainly. I don't really quite cover the area of the covers. So, starting off with the Oshinoko, volumes 3 to 6. For this series, I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. As the story does somewhat interest me. I have actually tried to watch some of the anime online, but I have been having some issues with it. So next is the Tsubasa series. And I must admit, I really enjoy this series. And with these omnibuses, for all 3 omnibuses, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. If I can get a hold of volumes 4 to whatever is available, I'll definitely do that. So, next is Jujutsu Kaisen, to which we are focused on the area of the culling arc. Of course, we have Yuji, Yuta, and a whole list of other characters within the series. And of course, many of us know, probably by the time that this video comes out or is actually put out on or scheduled on my channel, the Jujutsu Kaisen series will be at an end. And to those, I'd like to hear your thoughts of what you thought of the ending, because even though I am reading the manga, like the physical manga itself, not reading a lot of it online, but I do quite enjoy seeing what's happening with the story. So for this, it was really nice seeing the return of some of the characters I like. I really hope Togi Inumaki gets a really good ending, and something good also happens with Yuta as well. As for Yuji, it's nice to see him finally start to become center stage again, especially in regards to what's happening story wise. Seeing it was about him at the beginning. But in regards to these particular volumes, I give it an 8 out of 10. Moving into Orient, volumes 16 to 19, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. One thing I'm really looking forward to is catching up with some more elusive samurai soon. So definitely look forward to that in any of the future manga I've recently read through videos. Moving into Superman Meshi, like I mentioned before, this series sort of feels like Superman versus Food War chefs. And for this, I give it a straight 7.5 out of 10. I quite like it. I look forward to where some of the future volumes will go. Jumping into Batman Operation Joker. For these, I thought it was pretty decent for what it was, so a 7.5 out of 10. It was nice to see Harley Quinn being an actual villain in the story, unlike these days where they like to dumb down her character that, oh, she isn't actually a villain anymore. Yeah, rack off. And last but not least, Batman Justice Buster. With the way that this story is done, there are some elements of the story that I quite enjoy, but there are also elements of the story that need some tweaking up. To which I give this story a 7 out of 10 for these volumes. It would be higher if you actually saw Batman take Dick Grayson, who we do actually see in this series, as his Robin, and maybe start to get him into training or something like that. But you don't really see much of that at all. We do know that the Jason Todd that is in this universe is working with Bruce Wayne and also a group called Ace Detectives or something like that. And that it's somewhat interesting. But we also learned that I'm going to be giving away a spoiler. Okay, we have Jason Todd being a vigilante type Joker in the story. But we do know that there is a Red Hood that is present who we don't actually know who it is. And moving into last but not least, words bubble up like soda pop. As I've watched through the anime of this, I must admit this has actually been a really good story, especially like rereading through it. This manga actually has 3 parts to it, but I do actually quite like how they bring across the first part because it feels like you get a little bit more of the thoughts of like one of the main characters, being Cherry. And of course, we learn a little bit more about the character, or we're learning a little bit more about Smile as well. Well, until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.